So if you come from a background where you are supposed to help a breadwinner, I wouldn't recommend. Yeah, honestly. If you are somebody who has to go back and help your family get up on their feet, you need to choose a course that will, after undergrad, you're going to get a job. Yeah. You don't have time to get to your PhDs and stuff. Don't do it. It's a trap. But for people who are from Joburg coming to Cape Town looking for accommodation, if they're not accepted, it gets hard to the point where people end up coming here to sleep on campus, sleep on the student center.
It was really bad, man. This year,
yeah,
there's this whole narrative by scientists are nerdy. From a scale of 1 to 10, how nerdy are you?
I think there was actually a study done at UCT
about that.
Not really about that. Talking about how black people shouldn't actually study like a similar course to mine because of how we feed into the stereotypes. So for example, in my course also there's a branch that you can take which is called herpetology, which is people who work on snakes, reptiles in general. So now knowing where I come from, we are very we like stereotypes. Oh, snakes, witchcraft and stuff like that.
You are watching the EduKnowledge Exchange podcast show, the place where we share, learn and engage with students, graduates and experts on their academic journeys. From personal challenges to inspiring success stories, we uncover the real experiences behind university and college life. Have you ever wondered what truly goes on in the minds of students and graduates? The struggles, the breakthroughs, the game-changing tips that can transform your academic journey? We bring you raw experiences, expert advice, and unfiltered conversations to help you navigate university life like a pro. Hit that subscribe button and let's dive into the ultimate knowledge exchange.
Welcome back to yet another episode of EduKnowledge Exchange. And as always, I am not alone. Today we have Ukile Mugwa. Welcome, Sisunjani.
Hi Lilo, thank you for having me. Dear Pilunjani.
I'm good, thank you. So, I think we should just go straight into it, right?
Okay.
And with straight into it, I'm going to take you back to when you were growing up, which I would assume is not too far down memory lane, right? So, Ukile at home, where you are from, right? How were you growing up? Like, what kind of a child were you when you were growing up?
Okay, so growing up, I don't know. I'd say most of my childhood I was raised by my grandmother. So maybe from age 6 until right now. So I didn't have a rough childhood, I'd say. I was just a normal kid who just had a curfew. I still do. So I wouldn't say I have had the worst background. Yeah. Everything was just
And
fine.
if someone would come and describe you as a child, what do they say? Would they say Ukile was a noisy child? Yeah, Papa was tulele. Like, just give me one word that someone would describe you as a child.
A rebel.
A rebel? Okay.
I was loud.
And what was that?
Was loud, yeah. Very opinionated.
Ooh.
Yeah, being a mammy, I'd say, but I wasn't naughty.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was just not the best. Yeah.
Okay. Now, moving on to school. So, you know how in school, right, it's either you've got career day or anything of that sort, and then kids would dress up as doctors because they want to be doctors when they grow up, or they dress up as policemen, something of that sort. Where now, let's say today was career day, what would you dress up as? And now I'm speaking about Tukile who was in high school. What did she want to be?
Okay, initially I wanted to be a pilot.
Okay.
Yeah. Growing up, I always wanted to be a pilot. But then in high school, that's when I started loving science because, so I would have dressed up as a scientist.
A scientist.
Yeah.
Wait, you say you love science?
Yeah.
Is it not a matter of you just passed and then
No.
you actually interacted with your science subject, your life science, your physics, your maths?
Okay. Physics. It's debatable. I think that's where even I started doubting my pilot journey because the physics side of it was just pathetic. The chemistry, I'm cool with chemistry, but the physics side of it was just pathetic. And then life science in general, I loved life science. Yeah.
Sure, Gilly. But now just take us through what you're doing right now. What course you are acquiring right now?
Okay, I am currently studying biodiversity and conservation biology, and I am doing my second and hopefully final year of my master's.
Of your master's, great. Yo, now, so undergrad, you are doing undergrad yako in UWs.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me take you back to your journey at UWs. You come from high school where teachers always tell you, "Ba, Kili, your assignment is due on this date. Kili, why did you not submit? Kili, this, Kili, that." Everyone was on your back in
Yeah.
assignments, homework. They used to wake you up to go to school, all those things that people did to make sure that you went to school. Now you get to varsity. You don't have your parents there to wake you up to go to school. Lecturers don't really know you unless you actually want to be known by them. How was the transition now from high school to university?
Okay, so I came to university in 2020, and everybody knows it was
Snap.
COVID. So when I came, I wouldn't say I had issues with like the transitioning because I knew people. So my friends, I had two friends. Okay, I had one friend who was already studying at UWC, but it was a
Okay.
boy. And then we had other two male friends who were also coming to UWC. So we traveled together, got on a plane together, stayed at the same accommodation, went grocery shopping together. So I didn't really have it bad. Yeah, so, and first year was very short lived. I think we were on campus for like 3 months.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
after that, we had to go
Lockdown.
home. So it wasn't also that bad because I had a laptop. So I was able to submit on time, everything. Yeah. So my undergrad was very fine. And then we came back in 2022
Yeah.
by force. So yeah, our lecturers
So-
expected us to be here.
So you come here in Feb, right?
End of Jan.
End of Jan,
Yeah.
okay. You come here end of Jan. You guys are doing face-to-face until, let's say, end of Feb,
Yeah.
right? And then you guys go home. Because for us who are still in high school, right?
Yeah.
School stopped. We did not have school. So did you guys continue? Like, did you guys have like your online classes? Because I know when I came to varsity in 2021, there was an option of online classes as well as virtual.
Yeah.
So you could either choose to be on campus or online, and some were doing both.
So for us, I think when we went home, it was strictly online. Yeah.
Okay.
It was strictly online. And in second year also it was online. 2021 it was online because we were still under lockdown.
Yeah.
So nobody could access the labs. So it was pointless for us to be on campus really because our practicals were on in the labs and we were not allowed. But in 2022 we had to be on campus, which was our final year.
So you're speaking about labs being closed because of COVID. Now, with the lab work that you guys do, or rather with your practicals that you guys do, so I would assume that those contribute to your end year mark, right?
Yeah.
So now that you guys aren't doing e-lab work, was there some sort of substitute, as in like, bana, in these particular modules, you need to get higher marks because there's no practicals, or so it
We'd
was-
have online practicals, so it would be like a simulation kind
Okay.
of thing. So you'd have, it's like a TAT, an online TAT.
Mm.
So the questions that we'd have in our prac, they just ask us online, but they were a bit harder than if we are
The
face
actual
to face. Yeah,
thing.
because face to face our pracs were not that bad, but when we were at home, they were just horrible. So we didn't have any like substitute to say, oh, you're gonna get higher mark. You had a prac that you had to submit online and a TAT that you had to submit online.
Okay, so this is going to be very interesting what I'm about to say. So through stalking you, which is not stalking you, right?
Yeah.
We also got to find out that you rejected the Northwest University for UWs, whereas in Northwest they gave you a scholarship.
Yeah.
UWs there was no scholarship. Why was that?
Okay, so I am from Northwest, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like my parents were born there and stuff. So every holidays I'd go to Northwest. It's not like a place that I would say
Oh wow!
I would be ideal for me to
Yeah.
actually study there. And my family in general were just against. Even for first year, I was accepted at Northwest for a similar course, but they didn't want me to go study there. So with regards to the scholarship, when I was doing my honors, I was using the Sanby scholarship.
Okay.
And then for my master's, I applied again for the Sanby scholarship, but under NWU because I thought I wanted to change. I thought I wanted to move away from
The Western
Cape Town, yeah. So then I applied for that. And then I had to decide. There were a few factors, one of them being the new place. Even though I know Northwest, I may not know NWU. How do they operate? Because here at UWC, I've been here for my undergrad, honors as well, supervisors. I know who could have been my potential supervisor for my master's, whereas in NWU, I only had like an online interaction with her. So I had to choose if I feel like she would be the best person to actually supervise me. So it wasn't really about the scholarship in general. I had to choose what I wanted to do as well. So at NWU, I was going to do alien invasives. I was going to study alien invasives. And then at UWC, I didn't even have a supervisor at that time because I didn't even apply for my master's. So,
but you had hope.
I didn't really had hope. My supervisor then reached out to me and proposed like a project. So I had to choose between the two, and I liked this one because it has genetics in it. So I was like, okay, I'll rather come back and do this one. And I know UWC. I know her as a supervisor. I know UWC as an institution as a whole. I'm not going to struggle. So I just decided to drop that one. And
now, if you don't mind, can you just tell us a bit of what you're doing? And then just explain it to us in a few words. The course.
The course.
Yes.
Okay, my course is very broad, actually. So it's biodiversity and conservation. So you're basically a scientist, people who name stuff. Like the reason why a plant is called something is because a scientist found it and then named it and then studied the properties and stuff. So you can do that. Or you can be an ecologist. You can study how plants and animals interact with each other. You can also be a climate change activist. You can go into energy. You can go into sustainability. You can go into genetics. You can go into taxonomy. You can go into rangeland stuff. You can study everything.
And then
anything
what
that has
do
to
you
do with
specialize
nature.
in? What do you specialize in?
So I specialize in molecular biology and ecology.
And that is?
Genetics.
Genetics. And what is it that you do?
So I basically extract DNA from stuff. So extract DNA from samples. So you go into the lab, you do a whole process, DNA extraction, and then you send them out for sequencing. You get your sequences back, and then you create a tree. Then you study the relationships between 2 things or 3 things, or like a whole family.
Create an actual tree or family tree?
Like a phylogenetic tree.
Okay.
Those trees that we had in science.
Okay.
Yeah, you do that. And then the ecology side of it is studying the patterns or the changes observed in a certain area. So my project, should I explain the project? Oh, so my project, I don't know, it's very broad. It encompasses both genetics and ecology. So my study side is in Crom. It's an estuary, right? So there are plants, a plant called Zostera capensis. It's a seagrass. The common name of it is a seagrass. So Zostera capensis is like an ecosystem engineer. So a lot of animals in the ocean, not really in the ocean, in the estuaries, depend on it for like refugee. They stay there, they breed there, reproduce and everything like that. So there are 2 different kinds of Zostera capensis. So we are trying to see if the shorter form should actually be there or is it another species. So then we extract DNA from both, compare them and see if this shorter one is actually Zostera capensis or is it any other species. And then we also, for the ecology side of it, we're studying the relationships of the animals that occur in the estuary. So how does having the short form impact the estuary functioning as a whole? So you look at the species of animals, invertebrates that are found there. So then we go to the estuary during low tides. We tried to do only in low tide. So then we would sample the animals, put them in like a cute bottle and kill them. I don't like
oh my
saying
gosh,
this,
but like you just said it.
Keep them in a small bottle, add ethanol, and then it's called euthanizing. So we euthanize them, and then we come back to the lab and we do other statistical analysis on them. So you'd count and see if the diversity is different between the two stuff. And
Like
then
live in the two different tree
and then the results, if everything goes well, then you can give management, your DFFE or SANBI, Department of Agriculture, whatever.
Yeah.
You give them the feedback that, okay, this is what's happening in Crom, and this is what you can do to try and remove this one if it's an invasive, or rather try to grow the better form to have more of the good stuff in the estuary. Yeah, I don't know.
Snap.
I hope
That
valid.
no, that is a lot. Yo.
Yeah.
That is a lot. So what would you say in terms of academics or your personal life or your biggest achievements?
Okay, so I don't know if it counts as an achievement, but having scholarships throughout my postgrad, everybody knows how hard it is to like find funding, especially when you're doing postgrad. So I would consider my funding opportunities, or rather my scholarships from honors, even the ones that I rejected, I still consider it an achievement. And then attending conferences, getting accepted. Last year I was accepted for like an international conference, even though it was in Cape Town. But like, yeah, that was great for me. That was a big thing for me.
For exposure.
Yeah, other than that, yeah, that's it.
And so we spoke about your academic journey and all of that. Now, outside of books and being a scientist, what is it that you do outside? Because, I mean, as much as we are students, right?
Yeah.
You're not only a student. So you're Gilibukhile before you are, or that student number, so you dance, right? I'm sorry, I just had to. But yeah, so you are a person before you are a student, right? So what is it that you do outside of being a scientist or outside of books? Or even when you just think, you know what, I just need to rewind. What is it that you do?
I don't do much, really.
Yeah.
Apart from being a student, I'm a friend, I'm a daughter, a grandchild. Yeah, like I don't do much. And then the closest thing to me is my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing I'd say.
And what is it you do
Micro-content
on
creator.
YouTube?
So I do uni vlogs, really. It's either I'm in uni, I'm doing uni vlogs, or it's me and my friends going out. That's it. Nothing else.
Literally.
Yeah, it's just uni stuff and me going out with my friends. What else?
No. The thing is with me and vlogs, right? So I am not very big on
Content.
content creation, social media. I literally could go days without being on social media.
Yeah.
And then I come back, something is happening. So I'm just that kind of a person. And whenever I see vlogs, it feels like for me, this particular person wakes up every day, takes videos of themselves every second. And when I checked out your YouTube channel, right, there was a part whereby you came from your room coming into your toilet, and like literally it feels like there was a camera outside of your bathroom and inside your bathroom, and you were like, and I was like, wait, how many phones do these people
Those
own?
are the awkward takes. Yeah. It's
Man,
awkward, yeah.
in my head, I'm like, how many phones do these people own?
One. You just have to keep moving it around. And I think the vlog that you saw, at some point I had to like put my tripod inside the shower
Gosh.
so that I can get like a side shot.
No.
But yeah, that's literally what I do, yeah.
Man, but how difficult is it with starting a YouTube channel fresh from the ground, no subscribers, no viewers, nothing, and then just going up? Because I've seen the views, right?
Yeah.
And on YouTube, those are exceptional.
Yeah.
Seeing that you only do vlogs, yeah. Well, so how difficult is it, man? Like,
I
do you
think it's-
literally go with your camera everywhere?
No.
Or
I think with growing a YouTube channel, it's easier for people who have like TikTok, you know, if you have like a great following on TikTok, like somebody in the room, then you can you can easily transition to YouTube like that. Because you already have people backing you up on the other side, and then they're gonna easily move. But if you have a slow following on TikTok or you barely post content on TikTok, then you're gonna struggle
Me?
to get subscribers, because I struggled to get my subscribers. Like all 600 of them, I struggled. It took me a long time. So
Oh man.
Yeah.
You see with what you're talking about in terms of TikTok. Guys. So this year I was advised, right? But okay, you should get your TikTok up and running.
Yeah.
And then there was that da 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 da, I'm in love.
You see, I don't even know that trend because that's how bad I am with TikTok.
So when I got onto TikTok, that thing was doing
Trending.
the rounds on TikTok. And I was like, you know what? I have a lot of ugly pictures. Like, you know, and then I look good maybe twice in a month. So I'll just take one of the days that I was looking good recently and just post that up. And then I did that. It did a few things. And then a friend of mine also asked that I go live on TikTok. Turns out you can't go live on TikTok until you have a certain amount of following or followers.
I don't know.
No one told me this.
I don't know because I've also never been live. I've never been live on TikTok.
Apparently, I think...
And I wouldn't go live on TikTok.
I think, is it 500? I'm not sure, but you need
That's
to
not
reach
bad.
a certain extent. And I was like, yo, TikTok is brutal. And then I just stopped. I was like, yeah,
That's
I'm
the
done.
end.
I am done.
Don't stop. Keep posting.
Hey. So tell me about some of the challenges that you encountered at UWC, not necessarily academically, but as a student in UWC, challenges that you might have come across. And yeah.
Okay. So the first one would be finding accommodation. At UWC, everybody knows about that. It trends every year.
Yeah.
So in my first year, I didn't get accepted for accommodation. So I had to go through the whole private accommodation process, looking for accommodation online. And it's very difficult because you can't even do viewings because you're in Joburg and
Safety
everything is
stuff
in
as
Cape
well.
Town.
Ooh.
But that was, it worked out well because we had somebody that we know. But for people who are from Joburg coming to Cape Town looking for accommodation, if they're not accepted, it gets hard to the point where people end up coming here to sleep on campus, sleep on the student
It was
center.
really bad, man. This year.
Yeah. So that's one challenge. The other one is, I'd say finding funding for postgrad. Like, for example, if you're choosing a course that would expect you to study further, to specialize and stuff like that, then you're going to have to find funding, which is very challenging. But I wouldn't say I found it challenging, maybe because I looked early because I started searching in my undergrad.
Yeah, okay, that's
So I came back knowing that I already have a scholarship. So I feel like that's some of the things that people should consider when they choose a course. Is it going to be easy for you to find funding for your postgrad and stuff like that? And then for my master's, that was another challenge because I came here without funding. The only thing I had was RES, really.
What?
Because during my honors, I applied for RES. Everybody was applying for it. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll also apply for it. But I didn't even apply for admission itself. That's crazy, I know. So that was one challenge and it was weird.
Wait, no, can we just pause there?
Yeah.
And then how were you admitted, Kingo?
Supervisors can do anything.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
So if you have a supervisor, you can get, so you can even reach, even at UP, you can reach out to like a supervisor, even if you're not admitted, and then your supervisor can just say, oh, I have this student that's going to work with me, and then you get admitted into university.
Okay, I see.
So, and I didn't have funding. I just had RES. And then my supervisor offered me the DVC. So there are other options beside an external bursary. UWC has a DVC bursary, which only settles for your tuition. So I got that, but then still I had to find ways to sustain myself, right? And also pay for accommodation. So I applied for a GLA, lecturing assistant, and then I got the job. But then we were not getting paid for months. I think we only got paid in like end of May after
And
grad.
was there a reason for that? Did they give you guys a reason?
They kept on saying there was a huge problem with financial aid, and it wasn't only general assistants or lecturers assistants that were not getting paid. At some point, tutors as well, demis as well, were not getting paid. So it was like a huge thing, and they kept on saying it's the system, system. I don't know, system. Always they accused the system, so we didn't get paid, and. I remember at some point, I had money saved from like my scholarship from last year. So it was able to sustain me until a certain point. I wouldn't say till a certain point, but okay.
Yeah.
But then my supervisor,
Again.
the best woman in the world. So there was like, I think 2 months or 1 month where she ended up having to give me money from her own pocket because of how bad it was.
Crazy.
Yeah, because every month they'd come with like an excuse, you guys are not getting paid. You guys are not getting paid. You guys are not getting paid financial aid. So at some point, the department had to like step up and give me money. So that's how bad it was. But when the money came, the money was good. And then I resigned.
It was flowing.
I resigned afterwards. Yeah. And then I was planning on resigning either way, but then I ended up getting another scholarship.
I was thinking when you resigned just because you got paid.
No, I resigned because my supervisor was also fed up of the whole thing. Yeah, so I just end up resigning. And apparently people still went on not getting paid.
No.
Even after that, yeah.
Anyways, so now, just before we close the show, right, I'd like to ask you, and this is something that we ask all our guests. In the next 5 years, where do you see yourself? Are you still studying, doing PhD? After PhD, you're calling undergrad, or you're working?
I don't know. I don't know.
Let's do 3 years, okay?
At this point in life, everybody would expect me to have been working in my field. Because, I mean, I have undergrad. I can apply for jobs using my undergrad. I have honors. I can still apply for jobs with honors. I have masters. I'm about to. But, I should still have jobs. But, it's bad. Yeah, it's bad. It's really hard to get a job. So I don't even know. I don't want to lie. I don't even know where I'm going to be in the next 3 years. However, I want to go into consulting. So I'd like to be an environmental consultant, but also I'd like to be in academia. I don't know. I wouldn't mind being in academia. I wouldn't mind being anywhere, really.
But if you're going to be in academia, is the money coming in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
By academia, I mean being a lecturer.
Oh, yeah. I thought you wanted to be a researcher.
Even that. There's a lot of money in research.
But when does the money come in? Doesn't it come in after you've done everything?
No. Maybe let's say if you're doing research, you get funding before you actually go out in the field. So for us, we have to get money to go to the field. So, yeah.
I see.
Or you can work under a company that does research, like CSIR. You can work with that. So you can work with Sanbi. They do research as well.
But I mean, if you, what is the second option again? If not academia, then? Consulting, yes.
Yeah.
I was gonna say here in Cape Town, there's actually I think there's a big gap whereby we don't really have consultants of your kind. But at the same time, there are a lot of activists, climate change activists, and all of that. But then they just go ngento bayaziyo, right? They don't get the actual data that you were talking about, saying that you guys collect and all of that. So I think there's a very big market here in Cape Town specifically for that. I mean, you could stay in Cape Town. I'm not promoting Cape Town or anything. It's an option.
Cape Town is actually known, for our course, actually. Cape Town is the best place, if not, the best place to be. But still, even if you're in Cape Town, you still have to find yourself under a company, which is the hardest part. Because most consulting companies, you find that a researcher or somebody who's in academia started their own NPO, and then they're still small. They don't even want to hire a lot of people, or they don't have money yet to hire a lot of people. And then the big companies like your Nature Connect, your Send Me, they they do have offers, but it's really hard to get in the space, especially looking at the salary wise. Sometimes you find the internships pay really less. The money is Yeah, it's not good at all. So that's why people end up going to like banks, for example, to become consultants and work that
No,
way.
I hear
Yeah.
you. So if someone wanted to, oh yeah, so if I came to you as a matriculant, right? And I'm like, okay, what course are you doing? You tell me your course. Now my question would be, would you recommend it for, or rather, give me the pros and cons of the course that you're doing to see, so that I can also weigh out by, am I
Options.
gonna be able to take this, or are the pros more than the cons, and do I want to go there? And yeah.
Okay. So to somebody who's doing matric, basically, I don't know. Number one, if you're doing like my course, even the lecturers would even advise that you need to love it. Honestly, it's not, yeah, you shouldn't be doing it for the money.
Is
Yeah.
there money?
There is money.
Okay.
There is money, but it can take a while for you to get to the money, to the good money. That's why they always say you need to do it because you love it. For example, the internships, another disadvantage of it, the internships pay really low. But once you're in like a good company, like Senbi, you can get, I don't want to mention, but you can get good money. So it has to be something that you love, something that you're patient about, patient as well. So it's science. Of course, there's the bad and the good. So
Trial and
sometimes
error vibes.
yeah, it's very much trial and error. So you can spend a whole year working on a project only to find that the results are not what you expected. So as much as that's going to be discouraging, you have to love it. You have to be like, okay, it's fine. These are my results. It's fine. I'm going to go back and sample again and see what I get. So it wants somebody who's very patient, who loves it, like I said. And then for money-wise, or rather career-wise, a lot of people see scientists, most of the time scientists are those like white people. If somebody says, oh, I'm a scientist, the first thing that you think of is like a white person, because they are the ones that actually love experimenting or looking at all these
But
things.
also, that just raised another question. Sorry to ask you this question in the middle of your answer. There's this whole narrative by scientists are nerdy. From a scale of 1 to 10, how nerdy are you?
2.
Okay.
I'm not a nerd.
Okay.
I'm not a nerd.
No, that's what I'm
at
saying.
all.
There's a whole stigma
Nah,
around
yeah.
people who've got the lab coats.
Yes.
If you have a lab coat, my guy.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I think there was actually a study done at UCT.
About that.
Not really about that, talking about how black people shouldn't actually study like a similar course to mine because of how we feed into the stereotypes. So for example, in my course also there's a branch that you can take which is called herpetology, which is people who work on snakes, reptiles in general. So now knowing where I come from, we are very we like stereotypes. Oh, snakes, witchcraft and stuff like that. So if you are
just joking.
if you are a black kid somewhere who is afraid of snakes or thinks snakes are witchcraft, devil, the course is not for you, honestly. Yeah, and at some point you have to go. I remember last year I had to like go in like still water, like the estuary. Sometimes on high tide, the water can get up to this point. My grandmother, when she looks at those pictures, she like frowns. She gets afraid. So you need to be like curious about it, and you have to love it because who's gonna go in cold? It was raining at some point, so you have to go in the water when
Not
it's raining.
wearing any protective gear or anything like that.
You can wear your like scuba diving suits and stuff like that, but we went there with like our leggings and shoes and you go in.
No
So
wonder, Neflo.
so you have to do stuff, but like what I recommended to somebody, it depends, really.
What kind of a person do you think you need to be in order to be, to get as far as you have in your course?
Patient. I
Patient
think
is the
I think
word.
one thing that got me this far is my patience. Yeah, because after undergrad, I could have went to go look for a job, but I knew that I'd have to like specialize in something to get good money. Then I came back. Other people would be like, I'm not going to study for that long. And then I still came back for my master's again because I know, okay, having a master's is actually going to be beneficial.
money.
It's not like, I wouldn't compare it to like other courses like nursing where after your 4 years, you can go and get a job. With this one, you can even stay 5 years without a job, honestly speaking. So if you come from a background where you are supposed to help a breadwinner, I wouldn't recommend. Yeah, honestly. If you are somebody who has to go back and help your family get up on their feet, you need to choose a course that will, after undergrad, you're going to get a job.
Education.
Yeah. You don't have time to get to your PhDs and stuff. Don't do
man.
it. It's a trap.
And how in demand is your course?
You'd actually, I don't know. There are posts, even now speaking, there are posts that are out, but like, how many of us are graduates actually in South Africa? So, as much as you'd expect that, oh, there's so much nature in South Africa, we are known to even have like the big five and stuff like that.
Oh,
but
yes.
applying to get a job is very hard. It's not easy for you to get a job in the field, even considering that we have like the highest biodiversity in the world. It's very hard because companies are not hiring people, or if they hire people, they offer little money. So demand-wise, I've never really looked at the actual stats of how in demand it is. But I know that there are posts that come out and only few are chosen. So, yeah.
Shucks. Man, but yeah, thank you very much for honoring the invite and coming here today. I really appreciated it though. I did. The conversation was great. Can't complain, except for need to know the monies that you guys are getting. Anyways, yeah, man, it was great. It was great. And as you heard it from Mukile Bukhile, that being a scientist is really hard, but it's only for the strong, hey? So if you are a student who is looking to go into science, please strengthen yourself emotionally. Make sure that as much as you're going to have a social life, you don't have too much of it because it's very demanding. But if you like this video, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and click on the notification button for more. Thank you. That is it from us. Bye.